Before we go any further, if you care about serious wartime history, real survival knowledge, and lessons that still matter today, make sure you subscribe to this channel and leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions. This channel is built for people who don't just watch history, but study it, debate it, and learn from it. Now, let's get into one of the most overlooked but crucial aspects of World War II survival: how ordinary families endured winters that were often deadlier than the fighting itself. World War II winters were not just cold seasons, they were prolonged survival trials. Across Eastern Europe, occupied Western Europe, and parts of Asia, families faced fuel shortages, food scarcity, displacement, and brutal weather at the same time. Temperatures regularly dropped far below freezing while supply lines collapsed and governments prioritized armies over civilians. What kept millions alive was not luck, but a set of hard-earned survival practices passed through families and communities. These methods were practical, repeatable, and rooted in necessity, and they remain relevant for anyone interested in cold weather survival today. One of the most important wartime survival methods was learning how to conserve heat inside poorly insulated homes. Families quickly understood that heating an entire house was impossible when coal, wood, or peat were limited. Instead, they focused on creating a single heated living space. Curtains, blankets, and even furniture were used to seal off rooms, reducing heat loss. Windows were covered with cardboard, cloth, or wax paper to block drafts. In some regions, families slept together in one room, not for comfort, but to share body heat. This same principle applies today in emergency winter scenarios. If power or heating fails, isolating a single room, blocking drafts and concentrating heat sources can significantly reduce fuel use while maintaining survivable temperatures. World War II civilians learned through experience that managing heat was more important than producing it. Another overlooked survival tactic was wearing full winter clothing indoors. In modern societies, indoor heating makes this unnecessary, but during the war, families wore coats, scarves, wool hats, and multiple layers even while sitting or sleeping. Wool was prized because it retained heat when damp, and garments were often repaired repeatedly rather than replaced. Families also used shared clothing strategies. Children wore hand-me-downs layered over each other, and garments were rotated near heat sources to dry quickly. This reduced illness and allowed households to burn less fuel. For modern survivalists, this reinforces the importance of layered clothing systems and natural fibers in cold conditions, especially when heating resources are uncertain. Nighttime was often the most dangerous period during winter. Fires were allowed to die down to conserve fuel, and temperatures inside homes could approach freezing. Families countered this by improvising insulation in bedding. Straw mattresses, hay-filled sacks, and layered blankets trapped heat effectively. In some areas, families placed boards or straw beneath beds to prevent heat loss to stone or earth floors. People also slept in shifts near the heat source, rotating positions so everyone benefited. These techniques demonstrate how thermal insulation, rather than constant heat, can be the difference between survival and exposure. Today, understanding ground insulation and bedding materials remains a core cold weather survival principle. Food was not just about calories, it was about warmth. Wartime families prioritized hot meals and warm drinks whenever possible, even if portions were small. Soups, stews and boiled grains provided internal heat and maximized limited ingredients. Cooking was done strategically, often once per day, to conserve fuel while still delivering warmth and nutrition. Families also timed meals around the coldest parts of the day, ensuring that children and the elderly had warm food before nightfall. Modern emergency planners still emphasize hot meals during cold exposure for the same reasons. World War II civilians understood that food management was inseparable from thermal survival. In many occupied or rural areas, survival was communal. Neighbours shared techniques for insulating homes, sourcing fuel, and rationing supplies. Elderly residents often held traditional knowledge about preserving heat and managing winter hardships from previous wars or economic crises. Families who isolated themselves without shared knowledge were far more vulnerable. This reinforces an important lesson. Survival knowledge spreads best through communities. Whether applied to modern preparedness groups or historical study, World War II shows that collective experience can dramatically improve survival outcomes during prolonged hardship. Perhaps the least discussed survival method was mental discipline. Families structured daily routines to maintain morale during endless cold and darkness. Regular chores, scheduled meals, and shared responsibilities provided stability. Parents shielded children from panic by maintaining calm behavior, even when conditions worsened. Cold amplifies fear and exhaustion. World War II survivors consistently recalled that mental resilience helped them endure physical deprivation. For modern survivalists, this highlights that planning, routine, and psychological readiness are as critical as supplies. World War II winters stripped survival down to its essentials. Heat, food, clothing, insulation, community, and discipline determined who lived through the season. These were not abstract ideas, but lived practices refined under extreme pressure. Studying them offers more than historical insight. It provides practical lessons that remain relevant in any cold-weather crisis. If you found this guide valuable, make sure you subscribe to the channel, share this video with fellow history enthusiasts, and leave a comment with the survival method that surprised you the most. This channel exists to preserve serious historical knowledge and apply it where it still matters.